What is going on YouTube? It is your boy Jordan JC, and I am back on the ATS Report. And mm, I'm gonna be honest with you guys right now. It took me a couple days to actually process this one. We're gonna dive into the Chicago Bears game versus the Green Bay Packers for Week 1, in which they lost 38-20. Um, It took me a minute to kind of just calm down because obviously I'm from Chicago. I'm Chicago based. And so I wanted to make sure before I got on here with you guys that I didn't come on here just completely overhyped and just aggressive and just unbiased or biased rather to what was going on, and I wanted to make sure I have an even keel head at the very least. At least I need to try, right? But just a lot of things that we saw that needs correcting and adjustments that need to be made right away, especially on the Bear side. But let's just talk about the game in general. Again, as I said, the Packers defeated the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field, 38-20. Some of the stats for some of the key players, of course, Jordan Love, this being, I believe, his second start in his career and taking over from Aaron Rodgers. He was 15 for 27 for 245 yards for 3 touchdowns. Had an excellent game. The Bears defense pretty much had that bend but not break kind of defense in which they allowed you to dink and dunk. And so that's exactly what Jordan Love did to them all day. He just continued to pick them apart. He had enough time back there in the pocket where it was maybe 3 to 4 seconds for him to kind of dissect and navigate the field and hit his guys. And so he honestly did an excellent job of breaking down the defense throughout the game. I was impressed by that, to be honest. I did not expect Jordan Love to look this good. But again, that could be an indication of just how bad the Bears prepared for this game on Sunday. Aaron Jones rushing 9 yards, or rather 9 carries for 41 yards and a touchdown. Then, of course, he also led the team in receiving with 2 receptions for 86 yards and a touchdown. So he just completely put his stamp on the game. Obviously, Aaron Jones is a household name at this point. He's been good since Rodgers was here. A very good running back, one of the top running backs in the league. And so you got to give him kudos for just kind of just doing what he already does. It's very difficult to stop a guy like Aaron Jones all the time. And so very good job by him taking care of business, running and also pass catching out of the backfield. Then, of course, we have the Chicago Bears, Justin Fields, 24 for 37. We can see that he actually took a lot more passes than we're used to. Maybe we're used to seeing him from last year taking 15 to 25 passes. So he upped his passes, but of course, in the grand scheme of things, it didn't really mean anything. 216 yards, a touchdown, and he also threw a pick. Justin Fields also led the team in rushing, 9 for 59 yards, 9 carries for 59 yards. And then Darnell Mooney with that 1 touchdown pass that was actually probably the best pass of the game for Justin Fields in the corner of the end zone, 4 receptions for 53 yards and a touchdown for Mooney. Okay, now that we got that out the way, I'm just going to be completely honest with you. This was an ugly game. This was disgusting. This is not what I expected. I'm pretty sure many Chicago Bears fans did not expect this team to come out and just lay a goose egg in a sense that they looked flat. They looked tired in the second half. They looked like they didn't make adjustments at halftime when the game was still in balance at 10-6, and Green Bay came out just continuing to throw just death blows. Um, I put the blame a lot on the coaching. And the reason why I say that is, again, going back to what I just said, the adjustments that needed to be made. It did not look as if the game plan that was in place was thrown in the trash for the most part. And they said, you know what? Come halftime, we need to make some adjustments on how we're utilizing Justin. Maybe we need to revert back to what he was doing back last year when it was, I believe, week 6, whenever week that was, when he played the Patriots, and then onward, when they started seeing just how much talented he was in being mobile, also throwing, but also using his feet to get out of trouble. Because as we saw yesterday, there's still some time that needs to be had for this offensive line to either mesh and come together and get used to playing together. I don't know what the issue is because we clearly made some upgrades over the offseason. On the line polls went out and got Nate Davis at right guard for 10 million a year. And where were you? Don't know. Didn't look like you were on the field. Uh, Darnell Wright had some good moments, some bad moments. That's expected of a rookie, despite him being a top pick in the first round. You could see that he was kind of going through a few growing pains with letting some of the edge rushing get around him sometimes. But then there were some impressive plays with him blocking. I know that there was an impressive block that he had when Roshan was coming up the middle of the gap, and he pinned I can't remember the name of the Green Bay Packers defensive tackle. He's well known. He pinned him and pretty much put him in place, just stood him up in place. And so excellent job there. There's some things that you like about what Darnell Wright did. However, Lucas Patrick, Cody Whitehair, Braxton Flippin Jones, what were you doing? Uh, this is an unpopular opinion, of course, with me or with others rather, but I'm just going to say it. I think that Braxton Jones is someone that should have been replaced a while ago. I understand that this is one of Ryan Poles' picks, and Poles, obviously, for good reason, wants to make sure that the picks that he has hit. And it sometimes is attached to a GM and the success that they have and how long they keep their job is how they evaluate talent through the draft and through free agency, who they pick up, and also how they train and continue to uh, build up these players, make them continue to get better and better over each offseason. And so Braxton Jones, to me, is still a project. I think at best, Braxton Jones should be a backup to a legitimate starting left tackle. That's just my opinion. We had Alex Leatherwood in the building. I don't know, maybe I could be wrong, but I don't know what might have been the case between him staying and backing up Tevin when he got hurt at the left guard position, or just starting at left tackle and actually them challenging each other for that position. I believe that he probably didn't get a fair shot, but I could be wrong. I'm not sure what was going on in that building as to why he got cut, but you can just see that the talent level on the line is still a question mark. It's better. I think that it's better despite their performance in week one. I think that they will continue to get, a little bit better and showcase more than what it was last year. You do have some nice pieces, and hopefully, when Tevin Jenkins comes back, he can kind of put the injury bug and that unavailability tag behind him because he's starting to get that look about him where it's like, all right, is he going to get the ouchies every week or every other 3 weeks and go down with the back injury or go down with the foot injury or a hand or a hammy? Like it's always something, and so we want to make sure that we kind of solidify this line so that Justin rather can rely on them and also trust that he has enough time to scan the field and pick apart defenses. Another issue, a lot of people said that Justin Fields didn't navigate the field. He can't scan the field that well. He isn't good at reading defenses. I'll say it's twofold. I'm not going to go too far in the camp of, well, Justin just needs more time and it's really all on the offensive line. But also, I'm not going to say it's all on Justin and no, he can't read defenses still. And that's really the ultimate issue about why he isn't passing downfield. We just heard that the scheme for this game was throwing a lot of screen passes for whatever reason. I mean, it looked like it worked in preseason and in the practices and in training camp, but that's a whole different ball game. When you get to the real season, teams are actually showing their defensive assignments and the schemes that they're going to be running, the blitz packages, all of the different things that completely stand out way more than in the preseason. And so I just think that they went to a game plan that did not work, and then Getsy did not find a way to adjust on the fly in order for this team to be more successful in the second half. We saw even worse of a performance in the second half, and that's just inexcusable on many accounts. Um, it's not all negative. I mean, to try and take a positive out of the negative, I'll say this. I was very impressed with Roshan Johnson, our rookie running back out of Texas. And the reason why I say that is because it looked as if from the start he belonged, right? He had a game face on. It didn't look like he was too nervous, too big for the moment. Uh, that man was plowing over people. There was one impressive play. I know you all remember that. That was probably the highlight outside of the Darnell Mooney touchdown for us, is him trucking over somebody going through the middle and up the field. Uh, he looks like he's a gamer. I'm just going to call it right now. If that man isn't starting by the end of this year, he might be the starter for next year. Khalil Herbert has somebody right on his heels for that starting position. Dante Foreman looked good in spurts. I think he's good as far as, like, the goal line, running in the ball for goal line, in possessions, or goal line uh, indications. But I think that for the most part, Khalil Herbert and Roshan Johnson are going to kind of duke it out for that starting running back position, running back role, that bell cow role as the season goes on. I was pretty impressed with him. Some of his stats as far as his rushing and catching, by the way. Roshan, 5 carries, 20 yards, four yards. I mean, that's kind of on the threshold of okay and average. He had one touchdown rushing, and then also 6 receptions for 35 yards. That's only about right under 6 yards per catch, but still, Justin went to him. There was a lot of short passes in this game. I don't know if it was just maybe there wasn't anything downfield. There was no trust. There was no timing. I think it was just a culmination of a lot of things in this game. But here's the thing that I also want to point out, which is, you hear a lot of people saying over the past day, is DJ Moore, our prized pickup out of the trade from the draft. You traded your first overall pick, not just the first round pick. You traded the first pick in the first round, to get this guy from Carolina. He only had 2 receptions for 25 yards. That should never, ever happen. I don't care if he's double, triple, quadruple, multi-druple, infinite drupled teamed by the whole Green Bay defense. You find a way to get the guy the ball. He is an elite talent. He has been with a team in Carolina where they are deficient at the quarterback position. His best quarterback was a labored Cam Newton past his prime, when he was already injured in his shoulder. He couldn't throw that far down the field. He didn't have a whole lot of arm strength, and so seems as if they were nervous or scared to throw it to DJ Moore. I don't know if it was a mental thing with Justin Fields, where the game plan was so much throw screen passes, throw these short passes. It just seemed as if there was no regard for, hey, we have a legit number one receiver on our team. We need to force feed him. We were just talking about this the other day. Shout out to the Breeze team with Pat and PK and Ringo and Joe. We were just talking about this on the channel yesterday on there, about how you don't see them not going away from Tyreek Hill. You don't see Tua going away from Tyreek Hill, and them not game planning to get the ball to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle just because they're double team. You don't think Tyreek Hill is double team? Come on. Of course he is. But did you see how many yards he had? Over 130. You don't see Devontae Adams not being double teamed, but don't you think that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to force feed him the ball? You don't see who else? Justin Jefferson not being double teamed, but Kirk Cousins is going to sling that rock to him about 14 to 20 times a game at almost. Like, what are we doing here? 2 receptions is unacceptable. We should never ever see that. We shouldn't have seen it in the first game, but we should never ever see that again in this season and going forward, with this connection of Justin and DJ. We saw them just clicking right away in the preseason and in training camp. So my question is, well, what happened? Where is it? Where did the game plan go? Where Getsy was like, well, we're going to hold off on throwing it down the field past 20 yards. That's unacceptable. And so we need to see a change there. Uh, Again, very good game by the Green Bay Packers. One thing the Green Bay Packers definitely do well is they rush, and they put a lot of pressure from their defensive line. That is a team on the defensive side of the ball that has a lot of talent. And as you can see, that's an indication of drafting. They have a slew of first round picks on the defensive side of the ball. And so that's what you see, and that's what can happen when you invest in more and more first round picks on the defensive side of the ball. And it's not that Eddie Jackson isn't good. It's not that Kyler Gordon or Jalen Johnson or Tyreek Stevenson aren't good, but none of them are first round picks. My point is that first round picks are where the supreme talent is found. That's why they're in the first round to begin with. It's not to say that these other guys can't play hard or they're not talented or not they can't work to be just as talented. We've seen that in many sports where a person's work ethic can get them far. But first round talents are first round talents for a reason. I mentioned this yesterday on the breeze as well. Jalen Carter, for as many off the field issues that he has had, and we know all of them, right? He had 6 pressures yesterday, 1 sack, impacted the game from the get go. Now, of course, he's on a team where they can kind of control and manage his attitude, and he has better leaders and better morale and better culture around him. But if he was on this team now, would you not take 6 pressures and 1 sack from Jalen Carter? Guess how many pressures and sacks the Bears had as a team yesterday? 6 pressures, 1 sack from Yannick Ngakwe. My point being is you need to invest in the talent. This defensive line needs to improve, and they need to get more pressure on the quarterback. That was the obvious. And so going forward, hopefully we see that. We know next week, week 2, they're going to be going up against Tampa Bay and the Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield and those boys. Of course, I think this is going to be, let's just say, an easier game for them when it comes to the defensive pressure on Justin Fields, possibly. Of course, Baker Mayfield, I'm not saying that he's a world beater or that he's that much better than Jordan Love, but we've seen Baker Mayfield kind of become a nomad. He's traveled a little bit in the NFL, and so we can win this game. This game is winnable. Just like this past week, these games are winnable. We thought that going into Kansas City at the Chiefs Stadium, we thought that that would be the hardest game, the biggest challenge for us in the next 4 weeks. But as we can see, starting off on one, that's not the case. And so the Bears truly need to get this turned around quick. Hopefully they do going into week 2 and make the adjustments that are needed, make Justin Fields feel more comfortable, being more mobile, and being just what he usually is, just a mobile quarterback and kind of on the go running and improvising, but also passing down the field past 20 yards. We need to see that. No more of these 20 screen passes a game. Please, no. How do you all feel, all you Chicago fans? I know you probably are bummed out. You're down in the dumps just like I was, but hey, it's just week 1. We can turn this around. This is not the end of the world. Of course, we know the Packers are our biggest rivals, and that's why this game means more, obviously. But again, it is just one loss. This is the start of the season. We have 16 more weeks to go. And so let's just see how this team does. Leave your comments and your feelings in the section below, and I will see you guys on the next ATS report.